Welcome back to all of our Emperor Champagne Club members. This month we are focusing on a particular grape varietal. And of course, there's not a plethora of grape varietals grown within the appellation, the AOC of the Champagne region. We have Chardonnay, we have Pinot Noir, we have Pinot Meunier. There are some other forgotten varietals that we may introduce you to again in a very short space of time. However, this month we are looking at the grape of Chardonnay. Chardonnay is the second most planted white grape varietal in the world, behind a Spanish varietal called Aran, which I don't really know so well, but accounts for about 30% of Spain's production. But in this episode, we're looking specifically at Chardonnay, and then we're going one step further and we're looking specifically at Grand Cru Chardonnay. Now, what does that mean? What is a cru? What is this Grand classification? And does it mean anything at all? So a cru is a village. It's a commune within the Champagne AOC, the appellation. We have 320 villages. And in the 1920s, the CIVC, the Champagne Society, introduced the Échelle de Cru ranking system, which basically allocated a percentage weight to each of the grape communes, and from 100 down to about 80. 100% ranking, so the very best vineyard sites in the Échelle de Cru were considered Grand Cru. The second tier below that are Premier Cru, and then it's all other cru, Autre Cru. There are only 17 Grand Cru villages within the Champagne region, and 6 of those focus on Chardonnay are located in the Côte Blanc. And that is what we're going to be looking at in this episode, Grand Cru Chardonnay from the Côte Blanc. What does it look like? What does it bring to the wine? Does it matter? All of our lovers, you have an incredible champagne on its way to you this month. I really like this house. I've got to say, they are a high quality artisanal grower. They're 4 generations deep. We have the house of Franck Bonville. The house was actually founded by Alfred Bonville in the 1920s, at a time where they'd been through hell and back, World War I, phylloxera, a lot of trial and tribulation, but Alfred said, no, you know what? We're going to buy some of our own land. We're going to invest. We're going to cultivate our fruit. He bought some exceptional Grand Cru parcels of Chardonnay located in Auger, Le Mesnil-sur-Auger, Avise. And then it was his son, Franck, who actually said, come on, let's buy this lovely little producer house, the press, the vines, the vineyard facility, where the house then moved from Auger to Avise. And this really does commence the story of the house. We go down 4 generations now. We have Olivier Bonville at the helm of the house, producing really refined champagnes. These gentlemen, this family, specialize in Chardonnay, but not just any Chardonnay. We're talking Grand Cru Chardonnay. When it's Grand Cru, it's at the highest of the Échelle de Cru ranking system, which means it ranks 100. A Premier Cru, 90 to 99, and then we've got other cru outside of this ranking. So this is considered the highest, only 17 parcels of Grand Cru vineyard. The original classification that came in the 1920s was around the purity of the chalk that sat underneath the vineyards. Although all factors are considered, the typography, the position of the vine to the sun, the vineyard position, the location, the aspect of the soil, and even to this day, it's the human hand that helps to give us our Grand Cru classification system and our terroir. And here we have a particular house that specialises in Chardonnay of superior elegance. The house have eventually done away with all their oak barrels. They're moving towards stainless steel that really refines the precision, finesse and minerality of the Grand Cru Chardonnay. And coming out to everybody this month is a Grand Cru Blanc de Blanc called Unisson. Now, in this month's episode, we're looking at Grand Cru Chardonnay, the white grape of Chardonnay in its exclusivity. So that's called a Blanc de Blanc, made of white wine of a white grape. So whenever you see Blanc de Blanc on the bottle, you know that it's only from the Chardonnay grape. The non-vintage is Unisson, the Franck Bonville cuvee that's coming to everybody, and it is a blend of the 2016 base and the 2017 base. So if you have more than 1 year's grapes within the bottle, you can't put a vintage year on the bottle. Vintage can only be from 1 year's harvest. In this particular wine, in Unisson, which is a fantastic champagne, you've got the base years of 16 and 17 blended together. It's then aged in the cellar for a period of 4 years. So nice aging, a little bit longer on the Boll, and you'll see a bit more development on that wine. I really like this champagne. 3 sides, au jeu, le Menil sur au jeu, and Avise. Avise gives you this really crisp, clean mineral drive. They're all Grand Cru, very low level of topsoil before the vines, roots hit that chalky soil, and you're getting this transfer of minerality. Now remember, Chardonnay is a chameleon. She will be different depending on where she's grown, whether she's grown in Margaret River or California or in the Champagne region, or indeed different villages within Champagne will give you a different expression of Chardonnay. The feminine being. She's meant to give minerality, she's meant to give precision, she's meant to give drive. When she's younger, you'll have floral characteristics and citrus fruits, and as she ages, you'll get more of that cream, butter, almond, baked bread and brioche characteristic coming through from the wine. In this particular wine, you'll see some apricot, you'll see some yellow stone fruit, you will see a mineral drive. It has got texture, super fine bead, very, very refined champagne, and an amazing example of a Grand Cru non-vintage champagne. Honestly, I think a perfect example. We all talk about Ruinart, but to get a wine of this quality from some of these vineyard sites, we're talking neighbours of de Souza, of Jacquesson, of Agrippa. So we're in incredible territory in some of the best plots within the Champagne region. Coming out to all of our connoisseurs this month is the Maison Boll, a house that was founded in 1853, so long pedigree. This was a house that really early on decided to commercialize and globalize their business. They were enormous in America. They were very, very popular in the United Kingdom. This was a wine that was incredibly popular in Harrods in London and many other major department stores. And then it faded away over a period of time and was revitalized about 100 years ago and really brought back to its glory. And that's where we're seeing it today. We will be sending you the vintage Grand Cru Chardonnay from the Maison. So we're looking at a non-vintage and a vintage Grand Cru for this month. The house is sourcing their fruit for this particular champagne just from 2 sites, au jeu and le Menil sur au jeu. Now, when we talk about Grand Cru classification, we're talking about a classification that was developed in the 1920s. So we really are quite some time on now. We're 100 years plus into a new world of winemaking, and the question belies, is the status still relevant? Does this mean anything? And I have this debate with a lot of my peers and a lot of my colleagues in Champagne. I personally believe that Grand Cru status has some weight, has some importance. You're never going to change the subsoil. This is still pure chalky soils, but perhaps there are more vineyards that could be included in the classification of Grand Cru, not just the 17 that have been awarded that status. That's probably my only perspective. So maybe there has been some change in climate and in typography over time, but really I think the Grand Cru classification keeps its place. And this is a champagne that wears it proudly on its label, featuring 2 Grand Cru vineyards. Now, coming out to all of our connoisseurs this month is a luxury. It is a vintage Grand Cru champagne. This is where I like to play, to be honest. I love Chardonnay. I love it in a wine, and I love it in a Burgundy, and I love it in a Champagne. And a vintage Chardonnay just gives a little bit more time of aging in the cellar. And I love to see the transition of Chardonnay moving from that quite tight mineral style into something that's a bit softer and a bit rounder. We have the base year of 2010. Now, when you've got a vintage champagne, the year will be listed on the bottle, so you know the year that the grapes were grown, harvested and picked. Generally, we have 5 to 6 years plus on the wine. Now, we've had 5 or 6 years of aging in the cellar with the yeast inside the bottle, and then we've had significant bottle aging post this time. 2 Grand Cru villages, 2 very prestigious Grand Cru villages, Auger and Le Menil-sur-Auger. Some amazing champagnes coming out of these estates. We're taking out the Avis, that very precise mineral linearity that was in the Unisson. I'd love you guys to try these side by side. So all of you connoisseurs, ideally drink Unisson first, follow it up by the Boll Vintage 2010. What you will see is more roundness, more suppleness. As Chardonnay ages, she really does take on that yeasty characteristic coming from the secondary fermentation where you're putting the yeast inside the bottle to trigger the bubble. You're getting more patisserie notes. You're getting more softness. You're getting more breadth on the palate, some bread, some almond cream, some butter, some baked brioche. You're getting a little bit of that yellow stone fruit, but nothing on the roundness and the baked brioche that you're getting from the toastiness of the extra time on lees and the bottle age. You see that the mousse is still vibrant, but a lot softer on the palate. You get a little bit more acidity on the Unisson. I love to see Grand Cru Chardonnay with a bit more time. It does have aging potential. This is a great mirror for you. However long the Champenois has aged it in his cellar for, you can age it in yours. So, another 5 years plus in your cellar would do this wine no harm. It does look superb. So we are looking at one of my favorite grape varietals this month in 2 exceptional champagnes. Chardonnay, the second most widely planted grape varietal in the world, the most commonly planted white grape in the Champagne region. We are looking at a non-vintage in a beautiful wine in the Franck Bonville in Unisson versus a vintage Grand Cru grape in the Boll. We've got the 2010, we've got the base of 2016, 2017, the linearity and minerality presenting itself from the Unisson wine, the Franck Bonville, and the roundness and suppleness of a bit more aging time in the Boll. Does the Grand Cru status mean anything? To me, it does. I still think that the Grand Cru villages, the 17 that have been earmarked for Grand Cru status, are superior to other sites around Champagne. Are there potentially other vineyard plots that deserve a Premier Cru or a Grand Cru status? Maybe there are. Is it time to revisit the classification? Perhaps. Are we going to see the CIVC do that? I doubt it. Turning the tides and changing Champagne is a very, very slow mechanism. There is history, there's pedigree, there's rules and regulations for a reason, and that's one of the reasons that we get such an exceptional standard and exceptional quality of wine coming out of this appellation. Those rules are important to our Champenois. Those rules are important for you because they mean that you get the very best sparkling wines in the world, and you have 2 of them coming your way. Chardonnay bringing elegance, finesse, and minerality, and with time, a bit more suppleness, roundness, baked brioche, softness, and that beautiful patisserie note that we love in aged champagne. 2 outstanding champagnes on their way to you. We hope that you enjoy them. I certainly did. I look forward to seeing you at an event very soon. Welcome to our whole raft of new Champagne Club members around Australia. I can't wait to meet you in person. And until then, I'll see you on the next episode.